The fluorescent lights of the private clinic in Jumeirah flickered once as Dr. Nadia Khalil placed the sealed envelope on the table. Across from her sat Elena Santos, 29, senior cabin crew for a major Gulf carrier. Elena had flown the Manila-Dubai route for 6 years. She wore her uniform still, navy blazer, white blouse, the pin of a silver wing on her lapel, because she had come straight from a red-eye landing. Dr. Khalil spoke softly, the way doctors do when the news cannot be softened. The test is conclusive. HIV positive. Your CD4 count is low, but manageable with immediate treatment. We can start antiretrovirals today. Elena stared at the paper. The words blurred, then sharpened. She thought of the man who had called her my quiet passenger for the past 18 months. Sheikh Khalid bin Nasser al-Mansouri, 41 years old, heir to a logistics empire that moved oil, cargo, and influence across 3 continents. Married, 3 children, a public face of charity dinners and maritime scholarships. He had met her on flight EK317 in October 2021, upgrading himself to first class just to sit beside her during the meal service. He had been charming, discreet, generous. Flowers delivered to crew hotels. Private dinners in villas overlooking the Palm. Promises whispered in the dark. You'll never worry again. And every time he had shown her crisp medical clearance papers, the kind required for his visa runs and board meetings. Clean. Always clean. Until now. Elena folded the report and placed it in her bag. She thanked the doctor. She walked out into the humid evening air, past supercars idling at the curb, and felt nothing at first. Then came the math. She had last seen Khalid 3 weeks earlier, in his Burj Al Arab suite. He had been distracted, checking messages, talking about a merger. She remembered asking if everything was okay. He had smiled, kissed her forehead, and said, "Everything is perfect when you're here." She took a taxi back to her staff accommodation in Dara. In the elevator, she opened her phone and scrolled through their encrypted chat. Hundreds of messages, photos, voice notes. She stopped on one from February, a photo of his latest health certificate, dated January 30th, 2023. The stamp looked official. The signature was his private physician's. She cross-checked the clinic's name against public records later that night. The physician had retired in 2021. Elena requested family emergency leave. She flew home on a discounted staff ticket, sitting in economy for the first time in years. Her mother, Lita, met her at Ninoy Aquino International Airport with a worried frown. Elena told her only part of the truth. She needed rest, tests, time to think. At a small clinic in Quezon City, she had another round of tests. Same result. She began treatment quietly. The pills were free through a government program for returning overseas workers. She swallowed them every morning with black coffee and thought about accountability. She did not cry. She planned. Elena had always been observant. It was why she rose quickly in cabin crew. She noticed details others missed. The way passengers hid nerves, the flicker of guilt in a lying smile. Over 18 months, she had noticed many things about Khalid. He kept a second phone for business. He never let it leave his sight. He traveled with a personal assistant, Tariq, who handled everything from reservations to NDAs. He spoke often of his wife, Mariam, a former interior designer who now chaired a women's foundation. Their daughters attended an international school in Dubai. Their son was studying in London. Elena had never met the family. She had never asked to, but she had seen photos on his main phone when he left it unlocked once. Birthday parties, yacht trips, the 4 of them smiling against a desert sunset. She began reconstructing the timeline. First encounter, October 2021. First intimate meeting, December 2021. Regular meetings, every 3 to 4 weeks when his schedule allowed. Last meeting, April 2023. She remembered the night in March when he arrived late, agitated. He had mentioned a complication with an old associate. She had asked no questions. Now she wished she had. Elena returned to work. She requested the Manila-Dubai rotation exclusively. She flew with composure, served meals, smiled at passengers. Behind the smile, she gathered. Tarek, the assistant, had a LinkedIn profile. Elena created a professional dummy account, Aviation Recruiter, UAE, and sent him a connection request. He accepted within hours. She messaged casually about crew welfare programs. He responded politely. Over weeks, she steered conversations toward executive health protocols. Tarek, proud of his employer's standards, mentioned their private clinic in DIFC. He even named it. Elena searched property records through public databases accessible online. The clinic was registered under a holding company Khalid controlled. She found employee reviews on anonymous forums. One mentioned VIP clients who skip standard testing. She kept notes in a password-protected app. Dates, names, screenshots. Elena's viral load stabilized on medication. She felt stronger physically, but the anger had crystallized into purpose. She contacted a lawyer in Manila who specialized in overseas worker rights. The lawyer, Attorney Reyes, listened without judgment. "You want exposure or compensation?" Reyes asked. "Both," Elena said. "But exposure first." Reyes advised caution. UAE laws on defamation were strict. Privacy was sacred among the elite. But evidence of deliberate concealment of a medical condition, especially one transmissible, could shift the ground. Elena flew back to Dubai with a small USB drive containing everything. Chat logs, photos of documents, clinic names, timelines. She also had a recording. One night in January, Khalid, half asleep, murmuring, "Don't worry, Habibti. I always test negative. You're safe with me." The lie was on tape. Elena learned Khalid was hosting a gala for his family's foundation at the Armani Hotel. Theme: Women's Empowerment in the Gulf. Mariam would speak. Their eldest daughter would perform a piano piece. Elena volunteered for the event crew through her airline's VIP service. She wore a plain black dress, hair tied back, name tag reading Elena Guest Services. She moved through the ballroom like a shadow. During cocktail hour, she spotted Tarek near the entrance, checking the guest list. She approached him with a tray of dates. "Mr. Tarek? A guest left this for you." She handed him an envelope. Inside, a single printed page, Khalid's forged January health certificate, side by side with Elena's positive diagnosis timeline, and one line, "Ask him about March 2022. Tarek's face drained of color. He slipped the envelope into his jacket. Elena left before the speeches began. Tarek did not confront Khalid immediately. He waited. He began his own quiet investigation, accessing the private clinic's records through a sympathetic nurse. What he found shattered his loyalty. Khalid had tested positive in late 2021, shortly after his first meeting with Elena. The result had been buried. The clinic issued falsified clearances for years. There were others, models, assistants, a journalist. At least 9 women, according to partial logs. None had been told. Tarek copied files. He contacted a journalist in Beirut who specialized in Gulf exposés. The journalist verified independently. An anonymous dossier landed on desks at 3 international outlets. Medical timelines, forged documents, chat excerpts, redacted for privacy, audio snippet. No names at first, just a prominent Dubai businessman and multiple women. The story broke regionally first, then globally. Headlines focused on medical fraud, abuse of power, endangerment. The foundation's sponsors pulled funding within days. Mariam issued a brief statement. "Our family is addressing private matters. We ask for respect during this time." Khalid retreated to a family compound in Abu Dhabi. No public comment. Elena watched from Manila. She had resigned from the airline in January, citing health reasons. She lived quietly with her mother, continued treatment, volunteered at an HIV support center. Mariam filed for divorce in a Sharia court. Custody battles began. The children learned the truth in fragments. First from whispers at school, then from their mother's tears. The eldest daughter stopped playing piano in public. The son returned from London early. Khalid's company lost major contracts. Partners distanced themselves. The logistics empire, once untouchable, faced audits. In a rare interview with a low-profile Arabic channel, Mariam spoke. Her voice steady, eyes dry. I married a man I thought I knew. I raised children with him. I built a life believing in honesty. What he did to me, to them, to others cannot be undone. But silence would have been worse. She did not name Elena. She did not need to. Elena sat in a small cafe in Makati, across from Attorney Reyes. A settlement had been reached quietly. No jail time, the evidence chain was complicated in UAE jurisdiction, but substantial compensation for medical costs, emotional harm, lost earnings. More importantly, public acknowledgement from Khalid's side that irregularities in health disclosure had occurred, with assurances of reform at the private clinic. Elena used part of the funds to start a foundation for Filipina overseas workers facing health crises abroad. She named it Liwanag, light. She still flew occasionally, but only short-haul now. She wore her silver wing pin every day, a reminder that even in first class, some truths travel in economy. Khalid Al-Mansouri never spoke her name publicly, but in the quiet hours, when the villa was empty and the children visited rarely, he remembered the woman who had served him coffee at 35,000 feet and asked nothing, until she asked for everything. The scandal did not destroy an empire overnight. It eroded it piece by piece the way wind shapes dunes. Families do not shatter from one blow. They fracture slowly, along lines of trust that were never as strong as they seemed. Elena Santos did not seek destruction. She sought visibility, and in doing so, she turned silence into a legacy.